I'm doing a real quick video on the idea that Hitler was a Rothschild and the term Nazi. And I'm going to do a longer video because looking into this led me to some crazy stuff. But I just wanted to put this out there real quick. Um, but the claim that Hitler was a quarter Rothschild is an identity solvent designed to prevent the public from looking into the actual biological and financial management of the era, right? If you think he's a bad guy, you're not going to look at what he was actually doing. The origin. The specific rumor gained traction during a 1940s OSS psychological profile and was amplified by various post-war intelligence assets, right? It's not legit. The forensic lack of evidence. There is no biological or documentary proof supporting this claim, right? That he was a Rothschild. The administrative state, right? The beast system uses these secret lineage theories to make the leaders appear as part of a single unified cabal, which distracts from the larger great erasure of the Scythian white European history. The real financial connection. While the Rothschild blood claim is sensationalist, the actual waymark is the Bank of International Settlements and the Reichsbank, which operated as administrative hubs connecting all international finance, regardless of the quote unquote Nazi label. Um, so I'm going to circle back to that in a moment. The Ashkenazi fallacy, linguistic poisoning. The attempt to link the word Nazi to Ashkenazi is a prime example of linguistic synthesis. It is an absurd logical error that ignores the actual etymology of both terms to create a false historical mirror. The Nazi etymology. The word Nazi was a derogatory shorthand created by opponents of the NSDAP. It was based on the name Ignaz, a common nickname for simpletons in Bavaria, used to mock the party members as backwards and stupid. It was interesting. A friend of mine who I believe is from Germany or his family hails from Germany had actually told me that a while ago. I had never heard that. He told me that, and I looked into it, and it was true. So, the Ashkenazi etymology. This term refers to the region of Ashkenaz, historically identified with Germany, Northern Europe in the Hebrew code. Ashkenaz was a descendant of Gomer, the progenitor of the Scythian tribes. So he may have been part of it, but the Scythian tribes were Israel. So, anyway, the logical error, claiming a link based on the shared four letters NAZI is a contrived coincidence. It is like claiming a car is related to a carpet because they share the same letters. The administrative state promotes this link to confuse the seeker into thinking the quote unquote Nazi movement was an internal Edomite operation, right? Internal Jewish operation, rather than a geopolitical event they had to manage and eventually recycle and destroy. The derogatory origin of Nazi. The idea that Nazi is an ancient Hebrew or Edomite code is a contrived coincidence. The word was actually a Bavarian slur used by political enemies to humiliate the NSDAP. The Ignaz slur. In the early 20th century, Nazi was a common German nickname for the name Ignatius. In Bavaria, Nazi was used as a slang term for a clumsy, stupid, or backwards peasant. The political weaponization. Opponents of the National Socialist movement, socialists and communists, Jews, began calling party members Nazis to mock them as unrefined idiots. The adoption. The NSDAP themselves never used the word in an official capacity, referring to themselves as the NSDAP, National Socialists. It was only after the term was popularized in the international press, largely by the Jew Conrad Hayden, that it became a global label. And they're bringing up Joseph Budinger, who I'm going to talk about in uh, the longer video more. He was an Austrian socialist, confirmed in his memoirs that the term was a derogatory shorthand created to paint the movement as a reactionary folly. So that guy admitted where the term came from and how it was applied to the National Socialists. And when I get into my longer video, it's crazy who he's connected to. So, the OSS origin of the Rothschild rumor. The Hitler-Rothschild rumor is a documented piece of psychological warfare designed to create an identity solvent. The source. The specific claim originated in the 1943 OSS Psychological Profile of Adolf Hitler, authored by Dr. Walter C. Langer. Does that name not sound familiar? Wait till I get to my longer video. The Schicklgruber narrative. Langer cited a report by Hans-Jürgen Kohler, widely believed to be a pseudonym for an intelligence agent, that claimed Maria Schicklgruber, Hitler's grandmother, became pregnant while working as a servant in the Rothschild household in Vienna. Historical tax and residency records show there were no Rothschilds living in the town of Graz or the specific district where Maria worked at the time of conception. Nor were there any other Jews, because I think later on they used another name, a Frankenberger name. The purpose. The OSS promoted this rumor to suggest that the European leader was actually a member of the very cabal he claimed to oppose, ensuring that no organic European movement could ever trust its own leadership again. So it was a genius move by the Jews to do that. But it's 100% false. And when I do my longer video, I'm going to dive into this even more. But this here, in a very short manner, proves that it's not true. And you can check out these two books. Walter Langer, The Psychological Analysis of Adolf Hitler, His Life and Legend. That's where he uh, talks about the theory that Hitler was a Rothschild, but again, it was not true. And wait till you see all the people who were involved in. Well, I'll just say, who was involved in making up the theory, or at least contributing to it? Rothschilds. You can't make this stuff up. It's hilarious. So, um, anyway, so yeah, you can see its forensic significance, or yeah, the Rothschild section. To find this specific rumor we discussed, you should look in the section titled "The Hitler Family," or the analysis of his father, Alois, or however you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Langer includes the speculative report, a theory from the agent, right, who didn't really exist regarding the Vienna Rothschild household. And this document proved the administrative state via the OSS was actively cataloging and disseminating secret bloodline theories during the war to serve as psychological leverage. And Joseph Budinger, the Nazi etymology source. Budinger was a leader of the Austrian underground. He was a socialist, communist, social democrat, and a primary witness to the linguistic shifts of the 20s and 30s. In his book, The Twilight of Socialism, A History of the Revolutionary Socialists in Austria, and I believe you want to get the German copy, not the English copy, Budinger described the political landscape where the term Nazi was popularized. In his memoirs, he details how the term was a derogatory shorthand used by the left to paint the National Socialists as a joke, specifically tapping into the Bavarian slang for a clumsy peasant, right? And isn't Bavaria, I think, is where they basically originated, right? If I remember correctly. So makes sense. Forensic significance, the book provides a paper trail showing that the word Nazi was an external label of mockery, not an internal title or a hail to the prince code as modern psyops claim, right? The Germans never used the term Nazi, almost never. The only time they did was I came across a document Himmler used it, but it was tongue in cheek. No, I'm sorry, not Himmler. Yeah, I think it was Goebbels used it, but it was tongue in cheek. They never called themselves Nazis, but yet you have everybody in the world who talks about National Socialists calling them Nazis. It just shows the extent of Jewish brainwashing. It is like just fantastic and evil how they can do it. But they wrote all of our history after the war. So, anyway, yeah, check out those two books. That basically debunks both of those arguments. And like I'm gonna do a longer video because it's crazy what these two things led me into and who was involved in all these lies and just where it went. So.